Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to What's Map, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, it's Tuesday. Tuesday's request day. Today's map's requested by the creator. The creator comes from the historic country of Turkey. Yes, Ali, it is your turn. Your time is here. Now, it's not the most polished map you're ever going to see, and I think I can think of a particularly good excuse, and I reckon you know what's coming.
It's my first map.
That's right. Now, that's not to say it's a dreadful map. It's far from a dreadful map. There's actually some very good standards, which I'll point out as we go along, and some very interesting coastal work. Now, I'm using the word interesting because it almost works, which you might say makes it bad coastal work. No, it's interesting coastal work, so something to look out for. Also, something to look out for are sharp knives. That's right, being careful when you're cutting your cucumber or zucchini is a very good way of supporting the channel, because then you will have enough fingers to be able to click the like button. Today's map is Esladiff-Vanilla Map by theboypolyanna. Ooh, Pollyanna. I have a family link to Pollyanna. I'll talk about that a bit later. There's your start square. Actually, that looks really tasty, doesn't it? Do you think? Yeah, I agree. There's your terrain heights. It's a very flat island with a mountain in the middle. The coastal work looks quite interesting though. Look at that around the outside. Then you have resources that look like that. Again, very good and strong in local areas, so that is also pretty good. And then if you have Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, it is mostly shellfish with anchovies and a hint of salmon here or there. Off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, no DLC required today. In fact, no, nothing. Nothing is required at all. It's 100% vanilla map, and well, you can get on and enjoy it. Now, we'll be using. I know you're waiting for this. The vanilla European theme and the realistic 1.2 LUT. Yeah, the only non-vanilla thing about today's map is the LUT. Now, have a look at this. Equidistant Highways, so it looks good. The transition from elevated into ground level is very good. The Equidistant Highways mean... the one time we'll be seeing trees encroaching into the highway there, just sort of point that out. But yes, it's got smooth transitions. Even over the river here, we have a bridge section over the river. See, this is all good quality work there. In terms of the networking, the terrain work lacks a little bit of invention around about at those locations, but the highways and the transitions and the elevated into groundwork, all of that works very nicely over there, so credit there. Now have a little look here. We've got obviously use of the prop line tool to place these trees down the middle, and I think it was done in a bit of a hurry because it's not sent. I don't necessarily want perfection, but it does go from the middle out to the edge there, so yeah, probably a little bit more time. If it wasn't a perfectly straight line, if we were hand placing those trees and it wobbled about a little bit, it'd be fine, but because it's a perfectly straight line of trees, you look and you go, well, why would they put it in a straight line, not roughly center or exactly center? Again, perfection doesn't happen in real life. Well, other than you, I'm looking at you and you're about as perfect as they come. But in terms of botany, no, perfection doesn't often happen. So yeah, there's a little something that I think probably a little bit, taking a little bit more time, putting down the prop line tool would have made a bit of a difference. Now there's other interesting and good work to come. We've got. I thought we had a tree on the road there. We didn't. Yeah, we've got the plopped vanilla wishbone, which is an ugly intersection, but it kind of works on this map. That sounds like an insult, a veiled insult. It's not meant to be. It just sometimes the basic vanilla stuff really does work. Anyway, it goes off towards the edge of the map over there. Yeah, sometimes the vanilla stuff just works on a map. And so why complain about it? Is it perfectly slick in terms of transitions and stuff like that with the ramps? Well, no, because it's the vanilla wishbone. But it's far from hideous on this particular map. Again, we've got the trees just going off a little bit on an angle, possibly overhanging the highway a little bit. Let's just make sure that we're not, yeah, we're definitely high enough not to be a problem for vehicles. Bear in mind that the camera position in the first person view is quite high there, sort of like you're right high, probably on the truck roof, and so that's pretty good. Then we have a rail over road. We'll actually have a look at the rail over road when we come. We'll actually come back along the rail. The rail goes into the start square. We'll follow back from the start square and check out the rail. There are definitely some talking points for the rail. Again, some good work and some disastrous work. I'm sorry, there is no better word for it, I'm afraid. Sorry, Ali. Sorry. Disastrous work. Anyway, now this is the quickest route. Admittedly, I chose the furthest point from the start square. But this is the quickest and only route to the start square from where we started. So once you start building a city, if you're waiting for traffic to arrive, bear in mind it has to drive a long way to get to you. So you're going to have to, especially when you start expanding the city and you're waiting for more people to move in, it might be a bit of a slow build because there is quite a journey to get down to the start square. Like in this roundabout, this is nicely detailed. Okay, it's just spammed trees, but it works. And again, credit for that. Now we're going to go back the way we came. Fortunately, the rail doesn't run completely parallel with the highways, so it's a little bit more interesting than just following what we've seen already. I'm going to peel off at this location, and I like the nice straight lines. We've got perfectly flat environments, so why wouldn't you have a perfectly straight line rail? And in fact, with the rail, why wouldn't it take a more direct route? And that's what we have here. We've got a little branch off there that goes to a dead end up there. Not sure what we'd use that for. Also, notice no catenary chaos. Credit there. The amount of times I've moaned about catenary chaos. Down here, no catenary chaos there either. We follow that branch line up. It goes up to the lake, and we have a trident here as well. And again, no catenary chaos. This is so nice to be able to say that. Now we have the up and over. It's a little bit steeper than real life would allow. I would rather have had the road going to a slight cutting underneath the rail than what we see there. But again, it is a slight gradient, and in terms of the game, not many people are going to mind about that at all. We are going to see a slightly worse gradient in a moment. Again, it's far from the worst we'll ever see. But it could, the next gradient, I think we could have that stretched out over 3 times as far, and it would have worked a little bit smoother for me. Another little siding there. Plenty of opportunities for stations and stuff like that. It just adds a little bit more interest to the map. Now, this I have some problems with. First of all, this is the gradient. Again, it's not dreadful. I'd like to see it stretched out. Then we have this sharp turning here. I think I'd rather a pillar in the middle of that turning for support. Also, it's quite sharp turning, and the gradient going down. Now, if you're driving a train along here, let me see if we can go down to ground level. Will we stick to the track? If we don't, we will... Right, we're going to have to go back. Right, okay, we'll go back. So, if you're driving a train along here, to get up that gradient, you're going to have a bit of pace. Because remember, steel on steel doesn't actually have traction. Not like roads where you have rubber on asphalt where you have a lot of traction. Steel on steel doesn't really grip much. So, coming up here, a bit of speed up here. You've got some speed going now. Then you have to take this, which would be a bit of a concern. Chances of derailing. And then going down here, you've still got that pace going. Coming down that ramp there, you've got a serious chance of derailing here. So, for me, that has quite a few problems in the terms of realism. If you're just talking about a perfectly adequate intersection, vanilla base. Oh, hang on, look at this. Here's your fail. Here's your disastrous fail. This actually doesn't connect. So you won't get any trains into your start square anyway. So everything I've just told you, forget about it. The rail, it might as well not be there. Anyway, the rail then follows with the highway. Hang on, have a look at the trees here on the highway. It's nice to have them in the middle, but they get no light under there at all. They would be dead trees. Anyway, that's it. We can head off now towards the edge of the map, which means we'll take time for the intermission. We'll come back for the shipping and the water flow, looking around the rest of the map. But first of all, a reminder about what's coming up on Friday. Don't miss my new YouTube series as I enter the world of virtual reality, get dropped randomly somewhere in the world, and have to work out, where on earth am I? Join me from Friday evenings as I get lost, go wandering, and try to stick a pin into a map. Will I be around the corner or on the wrong continent? And can you do better? I'll see you then. And so back to Esladiff by the boy Pollyanna. I did say I was going to mention something about Pollyanna. My mother grew up on a farm in the south of England, and the owners of the farm next door went by the surname of Mills. And there was this little girl that grew up on the farm next door to the farm that my mum grew up on, went by the name of Hayley. And there was a big film back in 1960 called Pollyanna. And that was Hayley Mills. Anyway, shipping route's perfectly fine. Gets a bit close to the coastline there, but that's, considering we've got a lighthouse down there as well. Don't want to get too close. Water flow starts square. There is water. It's edge of map water flow. It's not very exciting, but there are other issues with that which we'll come back and have a look at in a few moments. So yes, the map as a whole, it's a big flat plap of land with a big mountain in the middle. I don't mind the tree placement on the mountain. That's quite nicely done. I can see a little bit of considerations being put into this one. A bit of rock detailing on there as well makes it just not just like this ugly, massive brown vanilla theme, which is what it would be otherwise. So yeah, credit for that. Little pool there. Yeah, I could live with that one. That seems reasonable to me. And then we have a lake over here, which is a boring shape, but there are boring shaped lakes in the world, so why shouldn't it be? Now, if you have a look here, we've got some trees, drowned trees. This is because of assets. And if you have a look here, we've got the trees not just drowning in water, but drowning in rock as well. This is because of assets, and we'll have a look at those shortly. There are bigger problems than that, yeah? Ooh, it's a castle. Now, as castles go, I'm still a big fan of having a castle gate at some location, rather than having to use a ladder to get into the... but there is no castle gate, and the buildings in the middle seem a little bit plopped to me. But as castles go, I think that's a bad placement. I wouldn't have built it there. Now, let's imagine you and I and our three mates are going up with our fire arrows, and we're going to try and storm this castle. Let's head up. Well, nobody can see us coming over here because we are up in the hills, and we can find the route up here. This is not too steep. We can find a way up here with our fire arrows, although they wouldn't be fire arrows until we light them up. Find a way up here, and then we can find a spot over here overlooking the castle walls. I admit they're demolished, but we'd still be overlooking them. We'd have a really good view from here of the entire castle, and we could rain death from above. What I think would have been a better position for the castle actually would be down here. Now have a look here. You've got sort of a plateau going on here with a raised bit in the middle for the tower or the keep in the middle. But right there, about the same sort of size. The nearest you get to overlooking would be where our castle is at the moment. That is quite a journey. That's quite a way of shooting fire arrows. You could get a few in there, but you haven't got such an easy shot. I would say that would be a better defensible position, and rather than what we have. Anyway, it's just my thoughts. Then down here we've got a little a village on one side of the road. Don't know what happened to the other side of the road. And we got some trees on the road, but actually abandoned dirt track. I don't mind these. I still wouldn't rather they weren't, but I don't mind them that much. Got some abandoned trucks down here as well. Some of them clipping into everybody's favourite factory. But again, look at the way they're all angled. It's like they're plopped. Plop, 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 plop. Yep. But if we go down a bit further, we have another one, but then one that goes just to break the pattern. I think that's a nice touch. Just a nice touch. Anyway, everybody's favourite factories are being done and done with. We'll now head down to... Oh, remember, over on my Teespring store, the official merch store, the Essential Lighthouse, you will find merch containing the Essential Lighthouse and everybody's favourite factory. Head on over there. Link is in the description, of course. A bit awkward to get into the pier, but it looks abandoned, so I don't mind it that much. I could survive with it. Positioning of the Essential Lighthouse? Yeah, I don't think I'd buy into that either. Of course, remember the shipping gets really close to the coast of that location as well. If we go around the rest of the map, because we've looked at that part of the map, it's a little bit uninspiring out here. It's just like muddy lands, muddy flood stuff. It's okay. You're not really going to be playing over here, are you? Got a lonely tree. You haven't had a lonely tree for a while. I've seen lonelier trees, but that's a lonely tree. And then you can follow the coast around. Now, speaking of coasts, I did say something about coasts earlier. And we have got a rocky, craggy coast going on. Now, we have got a load of drowned trees here because of assets. Let me show you, in case you're not seeing. These are from the Park Life DLC, but this is the free content, so you'll have this anyway. But yes, you'll notice that it's just made up of a whole bunch of the Trolls Caves. Now, some of these caves will have trees that are under the water along here. You could use one of the mods, something like the Vanilla Tree Remover mods. There are other options available. I'm not 100% up to date with what the current trend is, but you could use one of those mods to replace the trees or remove the trees completely. But as it is, we've got drowned trees there and in the lake being caused by the same sort of problems. Now, the thing is also, this is the area where we have the start square. The only access to water we have in the start square, which means that when we plop down our water machines, there they are, they're going to be deleting some of those assets by doing so. So it's just something to bear in mind. That might be a little bit of a problem also. Anyway, into the start square, which means we have an asset of the day. And this is a beauty. This is a beauty, all the way from Italia. That's the worst Italian accent ever. Italy, stick to English, BonBonB. Okay. Chiesa, Madonna, del Carmelo, Roccalumera, Sicily by Zarrix. And if you don't like Zarrix's work, then something's wrong with you, because this is a really lovely, very nice indeed. And factoids, because factoids. What have we got today? Every pint of water taken from the Red Sea would contain 4 ounces of salt. That's useful information. I don't actually consume that much salt. I bought a 1 kilo dispenser of salts back in 2007, if I remember rightly. And I've still only used like a quarter of it. I thought I was going to need a lot more than I did. So yeah, I mean, a kilo of salt's not that much when you're buying it for the kitchen. Anyway, Chiesa, Madonna, del Carmelo, Roccalumera, Sicily by Zarrix. That is gorgeous. Love it. Today's asset of the day. So, Esladiff-Vanilla Map by theboypolyanna. No link to Hayley Mills at all, really, there. What do you think of today's map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Click the I button now in the top right corner of your screen. It will take you to the voting page where you can vote for free using a Facebook, Gmail, Apple, or even a free Patreon account. But what do I think of today's map? Well, aesthetically, I think it's got some... the coastline is interesting. It doesn't quite work because of the vanilla tree issue. But the rest of the map doesn't really do anything for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a high 2. It's very nearly a 3-star map. It's not far from it. So high 2. Detailing, I want to give some credit. Yeah, there are some issues. But I like the idea of these park life rocks being used for the coast. The networking is pretty fine. There are minor grumbles, but it's pretty fine. Still don't feel like it's a strong score. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I'm going to go low 3. Gameplay potential. It's not very inspiring. We've got the issues with the water in the start square, having to demolish boulders and stuff, and the train that doesn't actually reach the start square. I'm going to go high 2. Esladiff-Vanilla Map by theboypolyanna. Do you know what? That's not very far from being a middle 3-star map. Just a few little tweaks here and there, and that's the pass mark. Very little in it. I'd spend a little bit more time around the non-central parts of the map just to bring them up, like the marshy areas and where we had the bridge right at the start. That sort of area. But anyway. Do you think you can do better? Use the words of the day into the comments and score yourself some population points. So we'll be back tomorrow with another map in the What's Map series. And bear in mind, just hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss Friday's show, do you? No, you don't.